Hi there, welcome to the Stitch-tastic workroom. I'm Sarah and today I'm going to talk a little bit about Aida fabric. These two pieces of fabric are Aida fabric types. Aida is a type of fabric, it's not a brand. These two are actually from the brand Zweigart, which we stock. We also stock DMC fabric and a number of other fabrics as well. But these two are Zweigart fabrics. This one is 6 count Aida. This one here is 14 count Aida. That means if I take my tape measure, on the 6 count, I can count 6 holes in a line in 1 inch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On the 14 count, I won't bother counting them all. Take my word for it, there are 14 holes per inch. 6 count is wonderful for children to start stitching on, to learn to stitch. It's also great for people whose eyesight isn't necessarily 100%. It's excellent for them to be able to see those nice big holes, but it does produce a very large design. So the lower the number is, the lower the count, the larger the design will be, and it may look a little bit less like a picture. I'll show you in a minute. The 14 count is used a lot. It's a nice balance between being able to see the holes and see what you're doing and also producing a lovely design. So these two are just samples of the fabric. I've actually done some stitching on lots of different sizes of Aida, starting with that 6 count I just showed you. So here is a piece of 6 count with a butterfly on it, as you can see, but you can also see there's quite a lot of white space between the stitches, particularly noticeable on these darker colours around the edge. So that's not always used by people who want a design that's a reasonable size and one that looks quite detailed. So that was 6 count as I showed you the sample. This one here is 8 count. Let me bring them both into shot for you. You can see it's exactly the same design from the same chart, but it's looking a little bit smaller. This one has got 8 holes per inch. After that, we have got 11 count. I don't think I can squeeze all 3 of these in. There we go. Let me see all 3 of those. So we're getting smaller again now, and we're definitely getting less white space in between the stitches as we get smaller and the count number gets bigger. So this is now 11 count, making a smaller design, more holes per inch, 11 holes per inch. Move the other 2 out of the way now. You can see the 11 count there. Next, the 14 count. And the 14 count, as I say, is used a lot. When you buy this particular kit from Mouseloft, thank you to Roger from Mouseloft for designing such a lovely design, you will get a 14 count when you buy it. Some people prefer to use different counts. You might think this one looks a bit thicker and more detailed, the 11 count. I used more thread because if I just used the normal amount of 2 strands of thread, on that one you'd see a lot of white space, but on this one I went back to the 2 strands of thread, so you can see a little bit of white space, but it just makes it look nice, a little bit sort of animated. After the 14 count, just leave that there, we move on to the 16 count. Fold that over again, there we are. So you can see the design is getting smaller again. This time we've got 16 holes per inch, nice and detailed, but now we're getting to the point where eyesight can fail me, that's for sure. So if you find it difficult to see these holes, it's getting quite tricky to stitch on this now. 18 count is next, so you can see how much smaller these are getting, and you can see those holes really are getting a lot smaller. 18 count it has a nice feel to it. Stitchers who are quite experienced really enjoy stitching on 18 count if they can see it, because it does give a lovely detailed design. Then we're on to 20 count. Move that up a little bit, there we go. 20 count is really nice to work on. It's got a good feel to it. You get a lovely detailed design, just increasingly so from the 18 upwards. And finally, this is 22 count. This is also called hardanger, the particular one from Zweigart is called Hardanger. It produces a lovely design. It almost looks printed. It almost looks like a picture rather than a stitched design, but it is quite tricky to stitch on. The holes are small. There are 22 holes in a line per inch, so really tricky. But if I show you back to the original design, the difference in size is huge from the 6 count to the 22 count. As I say, most people like a happy medium of 14 or 16 count, but they're all there for people to choose from.